At a minimum, being a critic, a reviewer, a snob of some field is a lesser endeavor. There is the creator, and there is the critic. The critic will always be diminutive compared to the person that creates. As the supreme commander of the visitors said, "What you take pleasure in creating, others take greater pleasure in knocking down." Back in the 80s, Andy Rooney once did a thought piece, back when there were 3 networks, on snobbery. How nobody liked food snobs, but without them, he noted, we would all be eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. At the same time, I would read newspaper reviews of movies I had seen or was going to see, and I was often struck by how unfair the reviewer was. They would review a science fiction movie and contrast it to Gone with the Wind or The Godfather Part 2. Clearly different genres. They would review a horror movie and complain about its believability, or review a comedy and complain if it wasn't serious enough. It bothered me that these reviewers could not separate their feelings from whether the movie succeeded in its goals or not. I remember a weekly news magazine attacking Hulk Hogan's No Holds Barred because, the movie critic said, it was racist to cast Tiny Lister as Zeus. In this critic's world, he would have preferred that Lister had been unemployed and not been seen in movie theaters across the country as a powerful opponent for the Hulkster. But then, I wouldn't own this cool Zeus action figure if the WWE had that attitude back in 1990. So in my mind, a reviewer should review movies, television shows, music, or writing on several levels. Did the creator succeed in what they set out to do? And only then can the critic pass on whether they liked it or not. The former is more important than the latter, because we all have opinions. And as Al Snow recently noted, an opinion is the lowest form of communication because it's based on no more than the whims of the moment. Should a reviewer be mean to the people creating stuff? This past year, I've seen a number of critics that I otherwise respect referring to Alex Kurtzman as round-headed, with various adjectives attached to that initial description. Now, being mean can be funny. It shows the reviewer is informal and just a fun person kicking back, making fun of authority figures. That's fine. But at the same time, pointing out the shape of this guy's skull is something he has no control of. He was born that way. Does that really make arguments about his work on Star Trek Discovery more compelling? That's just an aside on style, and personal interpretation of style can vary. Now, I would like to point out that online critics can be people of courage as well. I am afraid to tell you what I really think about certain topics: UFOs, religion, politics, conspiracy theories, because in many ways I am a coward. I freely admit this, but I can admire courage and bravery in others. I watch in awe as a reviewer, like Just Some Guy, gives it to you straight up, without fear of reprisal. People that disagree with you online can get you fired, can post negative reviews to the business of friends and family. Just ask Gary at Nerdrotic. That happened to him. Or can otherwise try to ruin your life simply for the Orwellian crime against Goodthink. Also, a critic has the advantage of time. An initial review can be wrong. You can look at something months or years later and have a completely different opinion about it. When I saw 12 Monkeys at the movie theater, I did not like the movie or its ending. I was promised a science fiction action movie starring Bruce Willis and newcomer Brad Pitt, and instead I got a bleak landscape with an unsatisfying ending. Years later, I realized that the director of the movie, Terry Gilliam, succeeded in what he set out to do. The movie did not have a happy ending. Just to spite me, the movie did have a happy ending, only I didn't see it at the time. Yes, in the future, humanity was trapped underground to avoid a deadly plague, but those in charge of that dystopia liked being in charge. All of the time travel jumps were conducted not to cure the world, but to ensure that these leaders came to power. They liked their future dystopia, and they wanted to keep it that way. My gut reaction was wrong, and sometimes you get a rare movie like this that rewards you on repeat viewings. A contrast is something you thought was good, but time is not kind to. I enjoyed Arnold Schwarzenegger's action movie Total Recall when it came out. I even rented it on videotape. I thought that his character, Douglas Quaid, was a cool action hero in that movie. But looking back on it now, the guy was an evil psychopath. Recall the scene where the founder of Recall, played by Roy Brocksmith, is sent to Mars to talk him down from his killing spree. Because Quaid sees him sweating, he concludes he is lying, working for the bad guys, and shoots him through the skull, killing him. This is not the action of a hero. Decades later, I asked what threat this feeble elderly man posed to the movie's hero, requiring his brutal murder. Something that other critics saw at the time took me years to work out for myself. So, a critic can be wrong, no surprise there. Like that television critic who attacked Star Wars when it first came out, insisting there was no sound in space. Finally, 3 cheers! Let's sum up my goals as a critic and reviewer. To have fun, to appreciate the work of creative types, to have some humor when poking fun at them, and most importantly, to look for things that no one else has mentioned. I never want to have the angle that everyone else does. That's boring. If I can find something new, then that makes the effort worth it. Unlike the precious time of your life that I wasted with this video. Click to subscribe, please. Thank you.